ओम शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। दयानंद रूपम मदाचार्य नीडे। भज गोविंदम गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते। संप्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति डुक्रुङ्करणे। मूढजहि धनागमतृष्णां कुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णां। यल्लभसे निजकर्मोपात्तं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तं। नारीस्तनभरनाभिदेशं दृष्ट्वा मागामोहावेशम्। एतन्मांसवसादिविकारं मनसि विचिन्तय वारं वारम्। नलिनीदलगतजलमतितरलं तत्त्वज्जीवितमतिशयचपलं। विद्धि व्याध्यभिमानग्रस्तं लोकं शोकहतं च समस्तम्। यावद्वित्तोपार्जनसक्तः तावन्निजपरिवारो रक्तः। पश्चाज्जीवति जर्जरदेहे वार्तां कोऽपि न पृच्छति गेहे। यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे। गतवति वायौ देहापाये भार्या बिभ्यति तस्मिन् काये। अर्थमनर्थं भावय नित्यं नास्ति ततः सुखलेशः सत्यम्। पुत्रादपि धनभाजां भीतिः सर्वत्रैषा निहिता रीतिः। बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीरक्तः। वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तामग्नः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न लग्नः। काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः। कस्य त्वं वा कुत आयातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः। मा कुरु धनजनयौवनगर्वं हरति निमेषात् कालः सर्वम्। मायामयमिदमखिलं हि बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा। We have seen up to this. See the next verse. दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः। कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत् गच्छत्याशापायुः तदपि न मुञ्चति आशा वायुः may be there. Both are correct. Similarly, gacchatyayuhu. So after you there will be a visarga. If the visargam is not there, then it will get converted to a half matra is. So the print may be gacchatyayus tadapi, which is also correct grammar. It's only just grammar. Dina. Dina is day and Yamini is night. So Dina and day and night. So together it's called Dinayaminyau. Okay. Day and night. Sayam Prataha. Sayam is evening. Prataha is morning. Shishira, winter and spring. Shishira Vasantau. Punarayataha. Punaha, again. Ayataha, they come. Kalaha, Kridati. Time, place. Gacchatyayuhu, the life also is going away. Tadapi, even then, na munchati, does not give up or doesn't leave. Okay. Ashapayu, the storm of desire, the wind of desire doesn't leave the person. So Shankara is saying, when are you really, we already saw, Parame Brahmani Kopina Lagnaha. So in the childhood, you are indulged in playing, then you are after attracted to the opposite gender. Then, then old age comes, then there is chinta. So when are you actually really going to think about life, the purpose of life? And when are you going to seek a guru? When are you going to study? When are you really going to fulfill the goal of this human life? So somebody may say, no, now I am too young, I can't do. But your youth is gone in this. I mean, your childhood is gone. No, let me do after when I am young. But even that has so many responsibilities and you are distracted. And then it doesn't happen. So like this, no, it is okay. Tomorrow, from tomorrow I will start. When Navaratri comes, on Vijayadashmi I will start. Or Ganesha Chaturthi is auspicious time. I will start from Ganesha Chaturthi. So like this, you keep saying tomorrow, day after, then morning, then evening, maybe next year. So like this, day and night keeps coming and going. Then morning comes, night goes. Then seasons also come and go. And time is just playing, The time doesn't wait for anyone. You don't have to do anything for time pass. Generally, people say I need to do something for my time pass. So I'm doing this time pass. So you don't have to pass anything to make the time pass. The time anyway passes. Even when you are in deep sleep, the time keeps passing. It doesn't wait for anyone, nor it rushes for anyone. So generally people say, no, the time doesn't seem to move. Then some people say, my God, the time has gone so fast, I didn't even realize. That is because when you have nothing else to do, when you are not engaged in anything, it looks like the time, or when you are in pain, it looks like the time is never ending. Then when you are engrossed in something really very interesting, it looks like the time is not enough. So both are just a perception. Both are not true. The time just keeps moving. It devours everything. It's bhakshakaha. Kala is bhakshaha. Bhakshakaha. He eats everything. So this time is playing havoc in your life, you know. And again and again, every year comes and goes. Every year you celebrate your birthday. Every year, what is there to celebrate actually? What are you celebrating about your birthday? If you say I celebrate my birthday it's because it's just an opportunity to have something different from the daily routine. Again, it becomes a time pass. When birthday becomes a time pass. Either my birthday or I want to celebrate somebody else's birthday. Nothing wrong in celebrating a birthday, but what is there? Why do we actually, in our Sanatana Dharma, birthday is not a celebration. Birthday is actually a day when you express your gratitude to Ishvara. That's why on a birthday, the child is taken to the temple. Take the child to the temple. See how the samskara has to come that way, you know. Birthday is not just a celebration of receiving gifts and inviting people. It's not a social gathering. For us, even from childhood, we are taught that we have to be grateful to Ishvara for this birth. That is why that nakshatra, we celebrate only on that nakshatra, the star birthday. This English birthday is never taken into consideration. Our calendar is star because there is a system, you know, how the everything, the planet moves and when the star comes, that is exactly when that 1 year is completed. Since we saw in the first verse, Nalini Dalagata Jalamati Tarla. You know, the life is like that. It may fall anytime. Anything can happen anytime. So you go to the temple on that day and you do dhanam actually. You don't receive. You receive blessings of elders and in turn you give dhanam to others and receive the blessings of the one who receives the dhanam from you. That is how birthday is to be celebrated. Janma Nakshatra. It is actually not a celebration. It's actually the way you express gratitude for this, whatever has been given to you. So this 1 year is one milestone in your life. So what have I done with reference to growing emotionally, with reference to bhakti, with reference to dharma chintana and dharma karya, in improving or cultivating certain values. So that is how we see, measure our growth. And of course, every year your education is there, your job, everything, all that is there. Arthakama is there. There's no doubt about that. But then, Arthakama not just for the sake of Arthakama. That's what Shankaracharya has been saying all the while in the first verse. So every year on my birthday, I have to make a sankalpa. We make a New Year resolutions, right? So on the birthday also, I have to make a sankalpa. Sankalpa to see that when on the same day next year when I go to the temple, how much I have changed, how much I have grown, how much I am in tune with dharma. So that is why on a birthday we light a lamp at home, a special aarti is done at home. We offer special nevedya to Bhagavan. Generally it is kheer, all pious. And you distribute it. Everybody says happy birthday. Don't even say happy birthday. Happy birthday was never there in our culture. Nobody says happy birthday. Nowadays, since everybody is saying happy birthday, we have it in all languages, including Sanskritam. We just say Ashirvadam. So to bless someone, I should deserve, you know, that position where the child falls at my feet. And I am in a position where I bless the child. So which means I have already grown to a position where I can bless the child. It's so beautiful, you know, this Our culture is really, when you observe every small thing, everything is connected to gratitude and respect. And even when we say celebration, the celebration is only when you give. Giving is actually something that makes you really happy. That is dharma. That is how a birthday has to be celebrated. So every year keeps going, every day keeps going. So when are you really going to start? When are you really going to understand? This human life is not just, even this 40 samskaras which we have, starting from Garbhadanam, Punyavachanam and all that, it is all connected to prayer only. They're all, at every stage we pray. Even marriage is religious, where we have this homa and other things, where we pray. We pray to all the devatas, we pray to all the elders to bless us, bless me, so that this life with this person I complete it successfully. And a lot of things are involved in marriage, which needs a lot of prayer. It's not easy. So we need, for every important event in our life, we see, we fall at the feet of elders and seek their blessings. We go to the temple, we do archana, we do puja, we do abhisheka to tap Ishvara's grace, to receive their grace. So that is the purpose of life. Don't forget the purpose. These things, Arthakama is only to aid you in fulfilling that purpose. So Arthakama has certain value. So when are you going to start? Kalaha Kridati. The time is going. Just playing with you. That's it. And your life is also getting over. You don't know when it is going to, when you will drop. So along with Ayu, the capability of your listening, hearing, and all the organs, the capability of the organs, you're not able to sleep, you're not able to digest the food you eat. So many other inconvenience, it starts in the body. Even if you say, no, I don't have all those things, I'm absolutely fit. Even then, even if you're fit, still, Nalini Dalagada Jalamati Taralam, Tatra Jeevitam Atishaya Chapalam. Suddenly you realize you're 40, you say tomorrow, and suddenly you realize you're 40 or 50, then suddenly you realize you're. When a person will realize, we do not know. Some may realize at 40, some may at 50, some at 60. Some may not even realize at all. The life is gone. Just getting married, having children, having earned money, over. So whether you are young or elderly in age, it doesn't matter. You start now because the time is going. Every second counts. Tadapina munchati asha pasha. What are you doing? Even now, your asha pasha is not going. Your attachment to everything doesn't seem to go. You still feel hurt when somebody doesn't invite you for a wedding, somebody doesn't invite you for this and that. It's almost a time for you to live like a sannyasi, to be able to trust your children, which means I have brought up my children in such a way that they can be independent. And I also command respect at that age. And they can take care of themselves. So if I have insecurity, then I want my children to always come back to me. You used to ask me, you used to consult me, and you feel so. There are people who really feel abandoned, they feel rejected, they feel they are not wanted. In fact, if somebody does that, we should be grateful to Ishvara that I have all the time for myself. I'll just do what needs to be done. I'll dedicate myself in study of the Shastra or some religious things, like Suti, Japam is there. With Mantra Diksha, you can do Japam. So even in this condition, what are you looking for? Why is this happening to you day after day? It never seems to have an end at all, your desire. First you say, let my children, then you say, let my children's children. And then you want to look after your children's children. And you find joy, as though you have a second opportunity to live. You can be there, that's all, but why you want to take the responsibility of it? That's not the age, especially nowadays when children get married when they are 28, by the time they have a children, you are already 50, 55. You are also exhausted. If children get married when they are 20, 21, then you are also young and you had time for the children and also for the grandchildren. Just imagine marrying at 30 and then when they are 34 they have a child, and then by the time you must be already 60. That is not the time for you to commit yourself to family responsibility. It is the time for you to withdraw from other responsibilities. So may you not have delusion with reference to time. That is what we say. You are so deluded, you think that day will come. The day will not come unless you make a choice, unless you make conscious choice to withdraw from everything. It is not too late. Even now you can seek a guru. Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं, निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः. So you seek a satsanga. Sangha means being associated. An association. Associate yourself with something or someone which will help you, will give you a conducive atmosphere, a conducive uh, environment where you will have like-minded people who are also who have made a conscious choice to study the Shastra, or see, I told you Bhajagovindam, you can look it at both ways as Bhakti and also Jnana. So either for Bhakti Marga or for Jnana Marga. Bhakti Marga would be Japa, Puja, and spending more time in worshipping. It need not be Kaikam, it can be Pachikam, or it can be a silent Japa, continuous Japa. Or it could be Jnana Marga where you study like this, where Shravana is involved more. So may you have good Sangha. So what will I benefit with, because all these days you had Sangha with Arthakama. Okay. The Sangha, you had Sangha, of course, you were associated, but whatever you are associated with doesn't seem to give you really what you have been looking for. That peace, that happiness, that security. It doesn't, to some extent it has helped, but not totally. Because you're deluded, you don't even see the anityatvam of things, you're unable to see it. Now see how anitya everything is. Now seek satsanga. So what will I benefit with by satsanga? Satsangatve nissangatva. From association, you will get disassociation. So you get associated with something in order to get dissociated from something else. So you will get disassociated with Arthakama only when you have a value for Satsanga. for which you have to understand the anityatvam of Arthakama. And Arthakama has its own value. Okay, you need Arthakama. As long as you are a grihastha, you definitely need to have a house of your own. You need to take care of yourself. You should have bank balance. You should have good friends, good relationship. All that is required. He's not saying give up everything, but understand that everything is will help you only as long as this body is there. Once the body falls, these things are not. You are not going to take all this. It is not going to help you from another, from not having another janma. So generally, people say if Manisha Janma is there, then that is the last Janma. That is true. If you have taken Manisha Janma, it is the last Janma. Why did they say that? Assuming that in this Manisha Janma, you will study the Shastra, you will seek a Guru, you will study, and then you know yourself and be free from further Janma. That is why, because Manisha Janma is rare, so they say if you have Manisha Janma, then it will be the end of Janma. But they say that 7 janmas and it is over, which means this is my 7th janma. Nobody counts anybody's janma. Even the one who says you have 7 janmas, what proof that person has that you had only 7 janma? All this, never in the Shastra it is said that you will have 7 janma only. No. And never it is said that once you take my human janma, then you are free. Just imagine all these terrorists. Huh? You want them to be, you want to do whatever they want and then happily end of life. So then there is no dharma, right? There is no justification, there is no justice. So it is not true that once you have Manushya Janma, if you have and if you seek moksha and you know yourself and you have Atma Jnanam, then that is end. Then you have Mukti, which is 100%. But then the person has to make a choice, right? That is why he's saying satsanga. At least now you seek, it is not too late. With that satsanga, you will have nissanga from other things, and nissanga will be there. And what will I benefit from nissanga? Nirmoha. So the delusion will go away because due to satsanga, you are attaining jnanam. Ignorance is gone. Once ignorance is gone, along with it, the delusion also goes away. So once in a way, my voice may break because now and then my internet connection is becoming weak. Then what will I gain once my delusion is gone? Nirmohatve nischala tattva. So once you are free from delusion, nirmohatve. Nischala tattva. Nischala means a knowledge which is not subject to change. Any knowledge that I know is subject to change. We'll see all that in some other class. Every knowledge is subject to change. But Atma Jnanam is not subject to change. Once I know myself for sure. It's over. Nischala tattva. Then Nischala tattva Jivan Mukti, which leads to freedom. While alive, while living in this body, you are free from all the karma. You are free from Papa Punyam, you are free from all the Sanchita karma is gone, Prarabdha karma will remain, but Agami karma is not there. So you are free from another birth, another death, that many birth and many death. So you are free from Janana Marana and with Vyadi. Repeat which one? Nirmohatve Nischalatattvam, Agami Karma. In tomorrow's class, I'll be addressing them. The purpose of prayer. I'm talking about Adrishta, right? The Papa Punyam. There I'll talk about Sanchita. I think last week also I touched Sanchita, Prarabdha and Agami. I will explain that tomorrow. So, Nishchala Tattve Jivan Mukti, then you are free, then you don't have to run again after Arthakama, after all these things, start everything from ABCD, again pain, again crying, now and then smiling. Why you want to go through this again and again in spite of your own experience is such that nothing is Nityam. So when your experience is screaming that nothing is lithium and everything is subject to change, then why do you keep on seeking only that? There is something called as Nitya. There is something which is not subject to time. There is something which is not subject to change. Seek that. So for that you have to go to a guru. So this satsanga generally we take it as just being together and discussing about few things, about something spiritual. So that alone is not satsanga. Satsanga means it is always with a guru. Your sangha with the guru, your association with the guru. And you have to seek a guru. For some people the guru comes, for many you have to seek a guru. So all this knowledge has to be gained only through a guru. Just because I know English, I cannot study physics and chemistry on my own because the whole book is in English, right? So we cannot ask, you know English, then why don't you study physics and chemistry? If you read it, it is in English, na? Read it, na? You will understand. It is not possible to understand. It is something which needs to be explained because there are equations, there are many things which need to be uh, dealt in detail. So there are, we need a teacher for that. Just knowing a language is not going to help you understand. And we can't be upset with something, someone, you know English, then how come you don't know physics? How come you don't know chemistry? So language is only a means, but the subject needs to be explained. It needs to be handled by a teacher, by a guru, who also understands what all doubts a student may have, where all a student may go wrong in the understanding, because it is the teacher's own experience. The teacher was already a student. The teacher studied from the guru studied from another guru. There is a difference between the word teacher and the guru. Anyone who teaches anything that is vyavaharika is a teacher, but a guru is one who teaches the shastra. Even though nowadays they say he is a business guru, stock market guru. These are abuse of words. The word guru cannot be used so lightly. In fact, the word guru is used even for uh, Sangeeta guru, Natya guru. They use the word, which is fine. Why? Because Sangeetam, Natyam, and Vadhyam, all these were used as a means for bhakti. In our Sanatana Dharma, Natyam, Sangeetam, Natakam, Vadhyam, all were used only for bhakti purpose and moksha purpose, to understand, to teach us certain things in a in an entertaining way. The goal of all these things were not entertainment, but it is entertaining. When bhakti is taught through music, when a story is told through drama or dance, it sings well. You understand because all your vision and your ears, Shravana is there, and you see it. It is very helpful in understanding. But like if you see all our music, it is all about bhakti only. All our classical music is bhakti. All our instruments are used as an offering to Ishvara. The instrument is only to add to the dance and music. But if you want only the instrument also, that raga, each and every raga holds your mind. It helps you to focus. Sometimes music helps you to focus on Ishvara. So that is why we have this. And they were all offered in a temple. Not like this today everywhere. Some nowadays Kacheri has become a time pass thing. Kacheri, of course, there are many who really are see music as a means to enjoy that bhakti rasa. It is there. And you also enjoy the beauty of the music also. There is nothing wrong in that, the dance and all that. But then the goal is not just entertainment. The goal is bhakti. And they teach values. And most of the dance, if you see, it is about the life of a saint. You know, some story from the Purana, something from the Itihasa. So always these things were only, we were all focused only in that. That is how this culture is. The whole culture is like that. Towards devotion, towards values, towards moksha. So this anything that we see today was only for that purpose. That is the purpose of having music, drama, and all that. So all the time we were focused just for this. So your mind is always thinking only about that. You know, when you even after the music, you go home, you keep thinking about it. It goes in the form of music in your mind. So it becomes mananam. Mananam means you have to you have to keep on repeating that in your mind. Then only it gets assimilated. It's like chewing something, right? When you eat something, you like it, you keep chewing. Then the taste is it stays in your mouth for a long time. You have to keep chewing to assimilate it. Similarly, you have to repeat it in your mind again and again. That is how it's possible. So this guru, music guru, dance guru, and all that, why they were called as guru? Because it was a means. And in those days, the music was, they don't just take students. Whoever comes today, you come and join this class, 1 hour class, 2 hour class. No, learning music was a commitment. You have to wait for your chance for the teacher to notice you and teach you. The teacher will test you whether you are really committed to this music. Um, if you ask the olden days musicians, they will tell you how they have to go and beg and go again and again to a teacher and request them. That's why you go with all this guru dakshina in your hand, right? When you go to a dance teacher or a music teacher, you don't go empty-handed and say, "See, I'm going to register. I have come here to register for my daughter." That is not the way we do. That is wrong. That is because we have commercialized everything. Nowadays, people want to learn music and dance just as an extracurricular activity. So it has become very commercial. So in those days, when I went for dance and music, they will drag me along. You know, they'll give a plate in my hand. I was just 6 or 7 years old. They will ask me to hold a tambal, you know, a plate with all the beetle leaf, beetle nut, banana, and some flowers and coconut, and they will keep on dakshina and they will say, take it to the teacher. They will say, my daughter has come to learn. You please bless her. And they will say, go, go. Give it to the teacher and fall at her feet. And say that, Sullu, Sullu, say you want to learn dancing, please teach me dancing. Tell the teacher. They will say, they will make the child say, please teach me. For dance, music, you won't believe. I'm sure most of you must have had the same experience. That is how they do. The child has to ask. So the asking is very important. That's why even when people ask me, please add so and so in the class, please add my so and so in the class, this is our number, add to the group. I never add. You have to ask, you have to say. Then how will I know that you have accepted me? I need to know you have accepted me as a teacher, then I have the right to say things in the class. Otherwise, it will be some like some public talk, you know. You just come, you listen, and you go. There is no a personal relationship between the one who teaches and the one who is listening. Unfortunately, I can't even switch on the video because I don't have a broadband. Otherwise, I would like to look at everybody's face and teach. That is how teaching has to be. So a guru means you have to ask. So he said satsanga means you go to the guru and say, I have come here to learn from you. Please teach me. So when you go to a guru, the guru has to be someone who has studied from his guru, his or her guru. There has to be a guru parampara. It's not an apne aap guru. This person listened to somebody's audio cassettes or videos and then read some books and then starts teaching. It's not correct. Then people will ask, then how did Ramana Maharishi did? No, we cannot take exception as rule. Ramana Maharishi was away. You know, he was not interested in interacting with people. He was even Digambara. He was naked and roaming. Somebody started going there and people started coming. Then he was forced to wear a kaupina. He was happy being on his own. He was a jnani. But generally, a guru means the person should have studied from a guru. There has to be a guru parampara, a guru who, then only you have a value for the knowledge. This apne aap will not even know how to teach. There is a methodology in teaching, how to teach, what are the words to be avoided, what are the words to be used, what could be the doubts of the student. Otherwise, it will be some, I know all this, it will be a lecture. A lecture is different from teaching. You don't attend. Lecture is okay to motivate you, to know that there are certain things, subjects I need to understand. Oh, these things are said in the Upanishad. Okay. That will motivate you to go and seek a teacher. A lecture is only gives you an introduction to certain things. To say, okay, these things are there. A lecture is different, a teaching. In a lecture, the lecturer doesn't take the pain to clarify your doubts. He just talks about the subject. His duty is over. In fact, that is what, it is not that he is irresponsible. He is meant to do that only. He will lecture about it, he'll talk about it, and he will go. But a teacher is not like that. A teacher takes the pain to explain everything. That is why a guru only out of compassion teaches. A guru has only when a student says, please teach me, then the person becomes a guru. Otherwise, there is no guru. The role of a guru is only when a student says, please teach me. Otherwise, there is no guru. Seek a guru who is a Shrotriya, one who has studied the Shastra. Because why we say a guru should be someone who has studied the Shastra? Because when you study the Shastra, already there are many, there are commentaries in the form of question answers. So whatever doubt that doesn't come to you, doesn't rise in your mind, is already addressed in the Upanishads, in the commentaries. So when you read those commentaries along with a guru, then only, because sometimes even the question needs to be explained, right? So why this question arises? Why such questions are there? Oh, so there is a reason for this question. Okay, this doubt is possible. Then comes satsang. Satsang is an extension of whatever you have already studied from the guru. So the guru will have a satsang. In the satsang, based on whatever the guru has taught in the class on that particular day, in order to further clarify the doubts, you have a satsanga. You will have a private meeting with the teacher, or one more session with the teacher where the doubts are clarified. So why we need a guru? Because from childhood, what happened? As when the child is born, oh, it's black, it's fair, it's so beautiful, beautiful nose, beautiful eyes. Everything is fine, but the nose, So everybody starts with commenting on the deha. So deha bhimana starts there itself, which means when I think of myself, I think myself as a body. So I am the body is given by everybody around me. It's given to me. Then they say, okay, he's really smart, he's really intelligent. Ayo, this fellow just like his father. See, you are already telling the child that his father is not okay. You are like that uncle, that fellow, oh my god, that fellow, you look like this. Like the poor child, for no fault of its, is compared to someone, someone the child has never seen or will never see in his life. And always this child is reminded of that person, that person, that person. So you don't see the child for what the child is also. So you give psychological problems also to the child. So from childhood, if you see, we are all taught to identify with the body, identify with the mind, identify with so many things. So what is the real me is gone. I am already born because I have some ajnana, and that ajnana is strengthened by everyone around me who has ajnana. And then finally, what happens? Whatever is given as real, the ajnana which is given as real is taken as real. The ajnana is taken as real, and the satyam is completely lost. Since this samskara is there, from childhood, that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the indriyas, I am the status, I am what the education is, I am whatever I am in the society, how influential I am, how powerful I am. So when I say I remember only all these things, all these things are my I. See, even while studying the Shastra, even though the Upanishad says you are not all this, but the samskara is still there, The samskara is very strong, and in order for that samskara to lose its hold on me, in spite of me having the knowledge that I am not all this will still have a hold on you because of the impressions that have been given to us. So that will go only through regular Shravana, and for that you need a guru. Who will help you, to guide you, will guide you to how to handle these samskaras. So it will help you to cultivate certain qualities, certain values which will be helpful in this study of the Shastra. Because the Shastra is giving me something, and if that knowledge has to give me full phalam, then I have to remove everything that which is stopping me from having the full phala, that jnana phalam. That jnana phalam, for me to get, I have to remove the obstacles, which is not allowing me to have that jnana phalam. So my focus is only on removing whatever is stopping me from seeing the truth. It's not in creating the truth or knowing the truth. I don't know, I already know the truth, but that truth is covered. So the whole teaching is about removing the covering only. It's like when you have a silver vessel at home and it is black and you use vibhuti to clean it, the whole process is only in removing whatever is covering the silver, not in creating the silver. The silver is already there. The process is only removal. For that, just imagine how careful we have to be in selecting a guru. A guru may, suppose you go to a guru who says desire is the root cause of all problem. Then when you have a desire for ice cream, you will say, oh, I'm not supposed to see, I'm already 60 and I still am having this desire for ice cream. So desire is not an issue. You can desire for ice cream, you can desire for mango, because Icha is a Shakti. Only human beings have this ability to desire for everything. It is a blessing, it is not a curse. What the Shastra says is don't have a longing. Longing means I'm so attached to ice cream that I, unless you bring an ice cream right now, that's all. I won't let anyone sleep. That is the problem. That longing is what is being addressed. So by studying Shastra, one should not add on to guilt. Now all these days you are happily enjoying ice cream. Now after studying Shastra and the Shastra, somebody said you should not have a desire. Now you have an added guilt. What? I'm not supposed to desire for this. I feel like having a coffee. Coffee is wonderful. Still I have this desire for coffee. Still I have this desire for chocolate. Guilt should not be there. That is not the purpose of studying. Only longing has to be addressed. The desire will be there. As long as the desire doesn't affect you, it is okay. Because the desire will be there. As long as a human sharira is there, as long as the mind is there, desires will come. Because that is a privilege given to us. Whether you want to go along with it or not is your choice. If you feel like having one more cup of coffee, you happily have it. Enjoy it. Offer it to Ishvara. Hey Bhagwan, thank you, wonderful coffee. Your Srishti is amazing. You can still enjoy it. You should not feel guilty to have all this. So all these things only a proper guru will tell you. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in this, guilt chakra. And also, just because I told you, just because you know English, one cannot, or Tamil, or any language, you cannot take the translations of Upanishads and translations of all the Vedas and Shastras and study. Self-study will destroy you. You need to have a guru. That's why Satsanga. Then only Nissanga. Satsanga here means guru. The guru will help you with Nissanga, and Nissanga from Nissanga, Nirmoha from Nirmoha, Nischala Tattva from Nischala Tattva, Jivan Mukti. That's why Guru Purnima for us is so special. A day where we, even whether we know the names of them or whether we have seen them or not, doesn't matter. If I have a Guru today, that Guru, whom I see as a Guru, that person, it is not possible for me to have a Guru without all those Gurus, starting from Narayana or starting from Shiva, from Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the Guru. And Bhagwan has taught to so and so, and from there it has come to me. That is the Shraddha. With that Shraddha, we celebrate Guru Purnima. Or we call it as Vyasa Purnima because we see Vyasa as an avatar of Mahavishnu. So after the study of Shastra, there is Nirmoha, absence of delusion. You are no more deluded. You are happy. Jivan Muktam, Ananda Swarupa. So your Sangha now is Guru. Seek that Sangha. Don't be deluded. It is not too late. You can start anytime. So then there are some people who get so obsessed with spirituality. They want to have a new identity now. I am a spiritual person. I am not like you, So again, that also is a problem. You are having another identity. That is also an insecure problem. Wanting to be different. Wanting to be different is also stems from insecurity. You take up another role now. I am a spiritual person. I am not like others. I am not like you. I don't waste time. I don't know. That is another ego. I am a spiritual person is another ego. another identity and another role where you do special type of karma. You have different sets of karma, different sets of routine, where you want to show that you are different from others. That is also a delusion. So don't get deluded by these things. One has to be extremely careful for this. Nissanga is you get disassociated from Arthakama, from all these things, that which is Anitya. So from Anitya Vastu, you disassociate yourself from Anitya Vastu and you associate yourself with something that which will teach you what the Nitya Vastu is. That is Nitya. Nissanga from that. Satsanga will help you, Guru will help you to disassociate yourself. But even before going to the Guru, there has to be some Viveka Vairagya. Some whatever delusion you have with reference to Arthakama, at least you have to understand that, oh, this Arthakama is not capable of giving me freedom from insecurity. Whatever freedom it gives from insecurity is Laukika. Of course, when you are in a safe house, when you are in a house, you feel safe. That much of security it gives, definitely. In Laukika Vishya, I cannot go and stand in the jungle and say, I have Atma Jnanam, so I am free, no animal will attack me. It's not like that. But the delusion that this is everything, that delusion goes away. So once that little bit of understanding you have, these things are incapable of giving me total satisfaction, total ananda. It is capable of giving me dukkha. All the time it doesn't give me sukha. Sometimes it gives me sukha, sometimes it gives me dukkha, which means this object is incapable of giving me neither sukham nor dukkham, because I see something as sukham, I see something as dukkham. So that much understanding I have, and then I go to a guru seeking, hey, Bhagavan, what is happening? I don't seem to have Nitya Sukham or Nitya Dukkham also. It keeps changing. What is it that in this world that never changes? So that question you ask only to a guru. So you go to a guru for that. And the guru also helps you to remove that moha, that delusion. So that is Nissanga. You get disassociated from this thing and associate yourself with a guru. And that association with a guru also should not be an emotional attachment to a guru once again. Because some people get too attached to the teacher also, to the guru also. That is also a problem. But the guru's place, guru's role is only to make you free. So in order you go to a guru because you want to free yourself from all the bandha, then you get bound to the guru also is another problem. Either you get bound to the guru or a guru wants to make you will cling on to you. Both are a problem. There also one has to really pray to Ishvara. Ishvara Anugraha is required to get a proper guru who will really guide you. So all of you should also listen to Swamiji, Pujya Swamiji, his recordings, or his books. As you attend classes, I suggest you also read Swamiji's books, which are available in Ashwavidya Research and Publications. And Swamiji also has a home study, Bhagavad Gita home study. And home study is a compilation of whatever he taught us during the 3-year course. And after attending these classes, when you go through Swamiji's books, then you will have a lot of clarity. You will understand what you are reading. So if possible, you please get Swamiji's books also. He is our guru because he is my guru. Home study. Yeah, home study is really good, but even Bhagavad Gita home study in the beginning, it is simple, but as you go to second chapter, when you start Ashocya and Advashocya, so where the actual teaching comes, then you need someone to really explain because home study has to be studied along with a teacher, as someone who has already studied the Bhagavad Gita, especially Swamiji's students, because home study is by Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji. Then a student of Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji will be able to really guide you, help you how to understand it. Okay. So you have a guru already too. Okay. So that is how we have to have a guru. The satsanga means here it's not just all students coming together because all students will have many doubts. So how can we clarify each other's doubt? One student cannot clarify another student's doubt. There has to be someone who is leading the group. Then only you can do even one step. Satsanga means seeking a guru. He says, please seek a guru. So we'll continue in the next class. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithivi Sastyachalini Desho Yam Kshobarahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांतिः हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम।